as opposed to going to Russia. Kharkiv, after all, is 40 kilometers from Russia. It should have been easy, right? Well, no, because all that area is mined. There is no real spot where you can easily move, not without a guide, not without somebody who knows what they're doing. I also looked into the possibility of somebody helping me out.
Dogan explains that in July 14, 2023, right after Gonzalo was released from Ukrainian jail, Gonzalo contacted Dogan, along with multiple other contacts, who offered him a chance to escape Ukraine by being smuggled into Russia.
The Facts Hunter.
This is another reason why you never want to take advice from this guy's videos. Gonzalo Lira was a man who had a crappy childhood and could never learn to adapt to his environment. Gonzalo had a very abnormal childhood. His racist father took him and his family from country to country, making Gonzalo spend his childhood school years as the new kid in class just about every other year. On top of this, he was conditioned into believing that he was royalty, just because he was the descendant of the first president of Chile, which turned him into a snob who thought he was above everyone else. Because of this, Gonzalo had problems making friends. He was ostracized and developed a form of highly functional sociopathy. The main point is that Gonzalo Lira was not smart enough to know how to follow rules, and most important, social rules. He had the chance to leave Ukraine at the beginning of the 2022 invasion, and he opted to stay. He could have negotiated his exit from the country after his first arrest, but he opted to stay. He could have survived jail, but he was too stupid to adapt to his environment. I want to bring to your attention the ultimate proof that Gonzalo Lira was a complete moron. I want to bring to your attention the escape attempt Gonzalo turned down when he was offered to be smuggled into Russia. If you remember the videos Gonzalo made when he tried to cross the border into Hungary, there is a part where Gonzalo explains that he attempted to contact people to help him find his way out of Ukraine.
As opposed to going to Russia. Kharkiv, after all, is 40 kilometers from Russia. It should have been easy, right? Well, no, because all that area is mined. There is no real spot where you can easily move, not without a guide, not without somebody who knows what they're doing. I also looked into the possibility of somebody helping me out, and a couple of them were grifters. It was clear as day, they wanted money. And the others, they had a lot of good intentions, but they didn't know what the hell they were doing. And so ultimately I was not able to find a Sherpa, a guide who could get me through. And I'm going to chance it at the border.
Well, in the video, he claims none of those people he contacted were able to help him out. This was another lie. According to one of those people he reached out for help, Gonzalo was offered to be smuggled into Russia, but he refused to escape to freedom because he didn't want to leave behind his motorcycle. What the fuck? That's right. The guy who claims to have over $140,000 in a PayPal account didn't want to leave behind his $14,000 motorcycle. I found this story in a Rumble video by a channel from a Russian propagandist who goes by the name Bad Wolf, run by an American trader named John Mark Dugan. Mark Dugan is a former Palm Beach County sheriff's officer who fled to Russia after being incriminated in a conspiracy involving DNC leaked documents. In 2016, he managed to flee to Moscow right before the FBI could get a hold of him, and he's been living there after being granted political asylum by Vladimir Putin. In Mark Dugan's video titled Gonzalo Lira Killed by a Motorcycle, Dugan explains that in July 14, 2023, right after Gonzalo was released from Ukrainian jail, Gonzalo contacted Dugan, along with multiple other contacts, who offered him a chance to escape Ukraine by being smuggled into Russia. Dugan shows the text messages he exchanged with Gonzalo. In the messages, Dugan explains to Gonzalo that he knew people who could help him out as long as Gonzalo didn't contact anybody else for help.
So, on July 14th, 2023, I was contacted by Gonzalo Lira, and he contacted me asking me if I could help get him out of Ukraine. Of course, I said sure, and of course I asked him for verification that it was him. He actually contacted me on a call, and we had a conversation, and I said, yeah, I got some people that I've done this before with, similar stuff. We will get you out, not a problem. So I was very specific with Gonzalo. I said, look, I will help you get out, but you can't talk about this with anybody.
The day after the first exchange of text messages between Dugan and Gonzalo, Dugan's contacts told him that Gonzalo had been contacting another person who had the reputation of being a gossip girl.
Because I knew that he was talking to one other person, at least one other person, a woman here who is a vicious gossip monger. And if I was going to go and partake in this operation to get him out, I was not going to get my ass caught in Ukraine because this guy was running his mouth. So he sends me his passport photos. So he wrote me up. He wrote me on the 14th, and I said, look, I'm not going to have anything to do with these two people. If you go that route, then you're on your own. I'm not going to help you. Because he kept talking about it with this person. He said, look, my goal is to get out of here with as little drama as possible. And then I told him I've done it before. I know many places to cross, but I'll only do it quietly and without people who are idiots involved. And he said, good, I'm not interested in being fodder for gossip mongers or ineffective people. My likely sentence is 5 to 8 years in a Ukraine prison labor camp. I can't afford to get mixed up with silly people who are in it for the clicks. He told me his U.S. passport expired, but he'll be entering on his Chilean one that allows a visa-free entrance into Russia, which was perfect, right?
Dugan told Gonzalo that if he wanted to escape Ukraine, he would have to leave his motorcycle behind. Gonzalo refused and decided to take his chances by attempting to cross the border to Hungary.
I talked to another person that I happen to know, another person that kind of does what I do, but he contacted me. So when I talked to Gonzalo Lira, I told him about my plan, how I was going to get him through the border, out of Ukraine and through the border. Well, he didn't like that idea. He didn't like that idea because I told him very specifically, you're not bringing your motorcycle. So he started talking about my plan with some other people. I was very angry about it, and I wrote to him, hey, I worked out the details with my friends. Then I found out you're talking to someone else in parallel, specifically after I said it was required that you don't talk to anyone. So my guys are out. Good luck with your other channel, though, brother. I hope you get here safely. And he said, what the F? I said, my friends had another request to help you from the direction of the person I told you not to speak to. My friends are not going to risk people going into Ukraine to get you, because if you're fishing around, then this will get leaked. My people don't trust the individual who you are talking to. She is not reliable. And that was it. And that was pretty much the last conversation I had with Gonzalo Lira. Then he contacted my other friend. He wanted to bring his motorcycle. My other friend said, no way in hell. This plan does not call for you bringing your motorcycle in here. So he called me back and he said, you know what? Well, I'm not leaving my motorcycle. I'm just going to risk driving through the border and we'll see what happens. He's like, this is Ukraine. They probably don't have any communication with headquarters at the border. So I'm just going to risk it and see what happens. That's not the way it works, especially in a wartime situation. everybody is sketchy of an American coming and going. Gonzalo basically
Signed his own
death warrant over a fucking motorcycle.
That's right, people. Gonzalo Lira, the guy who claims to be able to spend $11,000 at the drop of a hat and claims to have over $140,000 in a PayPal account, didn't want to leave behind a run-down motorcycle, which doesn't seem to cost that much. $14,000 at most.
You see, nominally, on the first day that I was arrested, I could have posted bail. But I was not given the opportunity to do so, to contact the people who would have the cash available to post my bail. It wasn't that much, it was $11,000, which I don't want to sound arrogant. $11,000 is quite a bit of money for most people. I am blessed by the good fortune of having the means to put together that kind of money at a moment's notice. And so I could have posted bail on the very first day.
But this also makes me wonder, when Gonzalo was talking about not finding anyone to help him cross the border because he only found grifters and nice but incompetent people, in which category does Mark Dugan fall in? Is he one of the grifters or is he one of the nice but incompetent people?
A couple of them were grifters. It was clear as day, they wanted money. And the others, they had a lot of good intentions, but they didn't know what the hell they were doing.
But I personally believe John Marks Dugan's story. Dugan is a former Marine, and the Daily Beast has written 2 articles explaining his long history of fraud and acts of espionage on American soil. Dugan has also participated in propagandist operations where he reported straight from the front lines in Russian-occupied Ukrainian territory. So I do believe in his story. And I also believe Dugan's story because it verifies my argument. The argument I've been making throughout this 2-part video series. The argument that Gonzalo Lira, despite having all those accreditations of being a published author, a film director, and a Dartmouth graduate, was not a smart man. He was an idiot who died because he was not important. Because propagandists, unlike certified journalists and reporters, had no value whatsoever to either United States or Russia. Gonzalo was a liar, a Russian propagandist who died for nothing, a victim of his own stupidity. And so, I say it again, burn in hell, Gonzalo Lira, you poor stupid son of a bitch. Well, that's it for this video series. If you like the videos, help the channel grow by clicking a like and a subscribe. Share the video and help fight Russian propaganda. Gonzalo Lira might be dead, but there are still plenty of pro-Russian channels spreading misinformation out there. In the meantime, this is a Fox Hunter. Thanks again for watching, take care, and bye for now.